watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
What is the district's plan for the new East High School?
Yeah, so we're exploring options, right? Everyone is aware that City Council denied the special permit for the land on Fisher Steel, and so we're exploring additional options, and then we'll be prepared to speak with the board about what that could look like, and then we can announce outward. And so certainly we're still committed to the new buildings that must be built by state law, but certainly finding the best space, which is difficult in any regard when looking for new construction for the amount of acres that we need. And so it's not just standing up a new spot the next day. So our commitment is to finding the space that will fit the design or something better, but certainly comparable as what we've originally had in mind.
Hello, my name is Michelle Yu. I'm from Germantown High School Television. My question is that with MSCS facing a shortage of teachers, the district initially considered virtual learning as a solution, but later decided to cut the program. Could the district revisit virtual learning to address the ongoing teacher shortage?
Yeah, teacher shortage, national issue and challenge, and so just recently at the board meeting we did get it approved to move forward with our platform. We'll have at least up to 100 certified teachers to choose from for virtual instruction. With that is the caveat that I've heard from students just like you who have shared mixed emotions about the experience with virtual learning. And so while we understand in one hand it is not the optimal choice, in the other hand it is something that is better than nothing, our goal remains, has always been and remains, to have certified instructors before our students. And so this is a way to do that while understanding the delicate balance of the pandemic, and COVID taught us a lot about virtual instruction and the impact of the same, and certainly hearing that directly from students is at the forefront of our minds. But we will move forward in this regard so that we can have certified teachers in this format in front of our students, more of our students.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kendall Stewart. I'm from Germantown High School Television. With NCS improving to an advancing designation in the latest accountability report, what will MCS do to get more schools from the district onto this list?
Yeah, so how do we add and continue to improve? We're certainly proud of the latest designation of advancing in all areas, and how do we continue to maintain that and sustain that would require just continuing to increase the number of schools, and it's doing exactly what we're doing right now. That's high accountability and expectations for all of our schools. That's aggressive and progressive monitoring, so we're ensuring that we know and have a good understanding of where our students are at all times, day to day. We're having more conversations with students and families so that students and families know the status and performance of the same. We've strengthened how we share out our performance data, not just the end of the course data and assessment data, but day to day, and certainly report cards by mailing progress reports and report cards home. We've increased the number of parents who have access now to PowerSchool, which is the parent portal, who can check grades in a timely way. And so methods like that stand to improve performance. It's also about continuing to improve the student experience in school so that you want to continue to come to school. Our students enjoy coming to school, enjoy learning, and enjoy having a commitment to the outcomes that are associated with the same. It is certainly what you mentioned earlier about increasing the number or decreasing our vacancies and ensuring that we have certified staff before our students. We do know that qualified teachers, certified teachers are the best to have before our students to ensure that the type of content and certainly the level of information that is necessary to demonstrate mastery and proficiency can become the outcome across the district. And so we are thrilled with the results, but certainly we know that there remains work to be done, and those are some of the ways that we've committed to. And I would end with saying that our renewed commitment, but certainly just our strengthened and deepened commitment to literacy understanding what it means and what it looks like, and certainly what goes into it across the district. Reading every day, writing now, we're adding that as we move into the next semester. Writing every day in every class in every school also stands to improve the results as well.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elijah Ford from Whitehaven High School. I was wondering, given the current times that we live in, do you have any plans to increase school safety, or do you believe we're currently at a good spot?
School safety, I think, I opened up sharing that school safety, is subjective. It is based on the perception of the individual, right? What makes you feel safe and what makes me feel safe is different. And so considering that, I think we always have work to do in the space of safety. As we think about security and human capital and the personnel that we assign to kind of oversee what security means, we've certainly mentioned that we have a need. We could stand to hire at least 63 to 67 additional officers. That would give us an officer, as I mentioned earlier, as a goal in every school with at least 150 students or more. I think when we think about psychological safety, mental health, we stand to improve there. Our commitment certainly is to continue to increasing the number of counselors that we have, social workers that we have, school psychologists that we have, those who have a deep understanding, certainly through professional expertise, but have a compassion and a commitment to working with our youngest leaders, but also our staff and employees who demonstrate the type of needs and just a general desire to have someone to banter with, to lay out, their deepest concerns, but also have something as a result shared with them of how to navigate the way forward. We've thought about peer counselors and what that looks like. We know that students speak and work best with each other. You're also more vulnerable and more open and honest and authentic with each other as well. And so we've thought about what national training looks like across the district at several schools for peer counselors. And so we are definitely giving it, I think, the thought and the consideration, and then ultimately, where necessary, the allocation of funds in the budget coming up as we move into budget season, to considering what safety and security in a comprehensive way and a holistic approach looks like. And that isn't done without including voices like our students involved along the way.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Maldonado, and I'm from Whitehaven High School, and I wanted to ask, what does innovation in education look like to you, and how is MSCS embracing in this area?
Innovation in education. I'll keep it short for this evening, just considering the time. But more, I think, what I've been sharing with the team and what we've been talking about as we develop our strategic plan to present to the board in January is how do we get more of our students to leave with an associate's degree and a high school diploma simultaneously, right? So leaving with that, it serves to decrease the financial burdens that you can experience if you desire to move into either a 2-year college or a 4-year university. It certainly allows you to accumulate the number of credits that are necessary to go out and get a job immediately in many areas when you graduate high school. When we think about sending more of our students into the working world, prepared to do so, we stand up a better workforce. We strengthen the city, we strengthen the community, and overall we improve, our economic status and what it feels like to live, work, and play in the city of Memphis and Shelby County. I think innovation certainly looks like standing up facilities that are modernized, and certainly we know we have a ways to go, but this is an optimal opportunity to do so as we think about standing up a multi-year capital facilities plan, thinking about what 21st century learning should look like and feel like, and establishing more buildings and spaces and programs that look and match the same. It is identifying careers, ones that we know now, and ensuring that programs and courses align with the same, but also thinking future oriented. The spaces and fields that you yet know that exist, and neither do I, but thinking more future oriented. It's about collaborating more with our business partners in our community, and so certainly we established the Office of Partnerships and Development for that very reason, so that we look to align and match more students with apprenticeships and internships and ultimately, hopefully, job offers as you leave. And so I think when we think about innovation, that's where we need to be in terms of a space of thinking. We're in a space of about intervention right now and a little bit of reactivity just as a result of where we stand. But innovation, as soon as we can get there and the more that we can think there, I think folks can see the vision and see the future and get excited about it.
Hey, good afternoon. My first question for you is about enrollment. The district lost 29 students in its traditional school this school year. At the same 3,000 students to leave the ASD and come to MSCS. So did the district make efforts to track and re-enroll ASD students specifically, hoping to know sort of what that would entail and how many of those projected 3,000 might be in the district right now?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think at last check it was about 2309 in terms of the number of students that we anticipated from the Achievement School District. At last check, I recall it being about 83% of those students are with the district in general. And so some of those efforts, absolutely, when we learned, rather at the last minute, but when we learned about several of the schools that we would be receiving back, the latest in May, we stood up, community conversations, visited the school, ultimately made the decision to keep Caldwell Guthrie open and shift it to a STEAM school. And so I think just general interaction with the community helped to ease the transition. Certainly we know about Humes and all of those, and so about 83% of those students, which I think is pretty, substantive, are with the district.
So my second question will be about facilities. Boston Public Schools utilize Bureau Veritas to analyze and assess its public school buildings. Both Bureau Veritas and Boston Public Schools created online portals to review the collected data, and data about the school's conditions was published 3 months before the district made recommendations to close or consolidated schools. This is according to Boston Globe reporting. MSCS contracted with Bureau Veritas for $2 million for its facilities assessment. Will you commit to publicizing parts of this assessment data before releasing MSCS's closure and consolidation recommendations, and if so, when will you publish them?
Yeah, so transparency, I think, is what you're asking ultimately, and that is the commitment now, and it remains the commitment. And so I do plan to share a timeline of what, the process itself could look like. I also shared the same with the board in terms of that commitment. Nothing will be done without the community, one, and so many of those conversations are public after we have our internal conversations about just where we absolutely have to be in many regards. Then we get feedback from the board, and then we'll get feedback from the community. Ultimately, we'll share that publicly. Overall, the plan, and I'm familiar with, what you're sharing in terms of the transparency there, and I've shared with the team the desire and the necessity to stand up a website where you can actually click on each building and actually see, what's happening with the building, what the projected recommendations might be, and then ultimately what the decisions are, and then you can follow the progress as well. I think that's the only way to do it, and certainly the way that we've done it in previous experiences is just being really transparent. It doesn't stop the questions, and it doesn't stop, the disagreements in terms of what could and should happen, but it certainly yields for a better way forward. So I appreciate the question about transparency.
Just clarify, is that data first, though, before the recommendation, or is that only publishing online once you have a recommendation for the school facility? Will you publish the data? Will you publish the conditions assessments before publishing recommendations for the future?
I see them as one. I see them as
You won't let the public review the conditions assessment before making recommendations to close or consolidate schools?
I see the release of it as one. In a space of transparency, I see the release of it as one. Receiving the assessment data or the assessment of the building, understanding what the FCI score and things of that nature, I see it as one. As you see that, you will automatically see what the proposed recommendation is or where we are in the process. We may not land internally at a precise recommendation, right? I may ask to hear from the community first in that regard because it may not be as pressing. There are some buildings, and most of being from here and tracking this for quite some time, this is not new, and so there are just some obvious things that have to be done to certain spaces, but then there's some flexibility in other areas that we don't have to have a deep commitment to.
And when will that data be available?
As I shared earlier, we'll have a timeline, and then that timeline will share exactly when everything will come out. You'll know when the community meetings are. I do not have a date right now. We are internally reviewing everything. The last 2 assessments have not arrived yet.
Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
So a couple months ago, it was shared that 42% of seniors are not on track to graduate. What is MSCS doing to improve that number?
Yeah, so it's about 32% now, and so that number will continue to decrease. There are a few things that you do when any student is off track, but certainly once a student becomes a senior, and so that's a review of transcripts. So we've completed transcript audits. We'll do it again at the end of the semester, and certainly at the quarter as we approach second semester. We have conversations with students, so they are aware what they are missing as well. We send letters home to parents, and so that will come up at the semester, and so they are aware. Any opportunities to accumulate the credits that are missing, which is why many of the students are off track, is shared, but also ensuring that our students are not failing the courses that they're currently enrolled, which would further exacerbate the problem. It's having, day-to-day conversations, but overall, it's aggressive monitoring. And so reviewing where every student is in the classes that they are enrolled in that they've previously lacked success in, and just ensuring that we're making the progress overall. We'll see a substantive improvement at the end of the semester because many students are enrolled in classes that they need to graduate right now, and the system just does not give credit for that until the credit is received and entered. And so about 32% right now are off track, and that is give or take whether it is based on them being enrolled in the class right now and waiting for the credit to be awarded, or they have not taken the class just yet because it's through a third party or an external vendor.
Okay, and my next question is, you talked a little bit about the consolidations and the closures and how you will eventually have a timeline, but can you explain the end goal for it as well as where it has left off?
The end goal for?
The consolidations and the closures and the timeline that you're prepping. Your real estate plan?
So the real estate plan that I just shared with the board?
Yes.
So that's different. So the real estate plan that I shared with the board on Tuesday night was just that, a real estate plan. It's all of our vacant properties, and then where we are with some properties that are contingent and in negotiation. It's just a list of the vacant land and what we know about the land and its properties, the last assessment, the date, the year, the estimated value, and then certainly that we are accepting offers through June 30th of 2025. I think that when you're asking what's the outcome, it is to open ourselves up to allow the community to see what we have in terms of properties, and allow the community to see, a gem in something that, we can't otherwise do much with right now. Overall, I think that we shared what would happen if we do not receive, reasonable offers, is that we would move towards demolition.
Good evening, Imani Williams with Action
Good
News
morning.
5. But just a quick question. We've received several claims from parents that their students don't feel safe, specifically students with disabilities. They say the teachers are discriminating or assaulting them. Can you kind of talk to that topic and how that is being addressed, those allegations are being addressed, and specifically students with IEPs? Is there any training in place for teachers within the school system to deal with students with IEPs?
I think overall, safety and security will always remain at the forefront and at the top of our minds in terms of a priority. I think when we think about specific students and what that looks like, federal guidelines guide the way for our students with disabilities and how we are expected and must interact and engage and ultimately assign consequences where there may be some. I think when we think about even just the thought of improper engagement and interactions with our students and staff, it is never tolerated. It's a zero tolerance for any behavior like that. I would reserve comments in terms of speaking to specifics as several cases remain under review, but you can expect that the commitment remains and always will be that whatever we need to do, including and up to termination, is a part of the next steps in terms of progressive discipline. I think as it concerns students and their behaviors, there's always the opportunity to strengthen training, to improve the amount of training that is received, to ensure that it is up to date, that it is relevant, that we continue to understand unique behaviors, a combination of many behaviors, and ensuring that where possible and where it may be the case, where the student's behavior may lead to a specific outcome, that we give the sensitivity to those issues as well. But to specifically address parents' concerns, I'd like to give parents the confidence that when we are aware that situations are happening, we are addressing them swiftly and to the extent possible. I think that we do depend on our parents to have that shared exchange with us, to report. I know that it is uncomfortable, and in this space you should not have to, but once we are made aware of any activity, we do take swift action and see it through to the end.
And then my second question, the district ended some big contracts, including the one with Fresh Start. Who has this janitorial contract now? And what were the contract violations that ended that contract with Freshman?
So we have not moved forward yet in that regard. We have not made a recommendation to the board just yet. So in terms of contract violations, we did share that non-payment. And so following the contract, we did move towards termination of the contract.
Thank you, everyone.